Over the past year, I've been trying to do better at sort of keeping my life organized, especially as I started a new job that involved a lot of small tasks that couldn't be forgotten, unlike my previous job where everything was just done at work and it was done. This time I am working from home and working weird hours and having tasks that I need to remember to do the next day. So over the past year, I've been trying to come up with ways to stay more organized, and I discovered Notion and sort of went down a really big YouTube rabbit hole learning all about that and just learning about general productivity and organization things that I could use that would help me sort of keep on track and not neglect things that I should be doing. So today I thought I would go through all the things that I'm using to help me stay on track and explain a little bit of how they work and how they help me, and potentially give you some ideas on things that you could do that might make your life a little bit easier. Show you a bit of not only my personal homepage but also my work homepage, although there's obviously a lot of things I can't show you there due to just the nature of my work, but I'll show you a bit about how it works in general and give you some insight into Notion and Google Calendar for my life. So if you'd like to see more about that, just keep on watching. So I thought we'd start off with my personal homepage. This is something that's gone through many iterations over my time of using Notion for, I think it's almost a year now. I think it was around September that I started using it last year. And this is the current version of it. I don't think I've gone through it before, so I'll quickly go through what it has. On the left here, I have a bit of a navigation to my commonly used pages. I do have a budget page in here. We have a quick look at it. It will show income, expenses, and ending balance, and it's where I can input my salary and expenses so I can keep track of all that and make sure I'm not overspending. We also have my phone dashboard. This is something that I've created just to make things easier for stuff that I need to do on my phone. So it's laid out to look very simple, but that's because it's how it shows up on my phone, just so I can add a new task, a new note, as well as my shopping list. I can use this if I'm at home and use the meal planning section to mark things that I need to buy. I can just use this while at the shops to check my list, or I can also, I've created a version here that shows all my ingredients so that I can add things to it if I'm out and about and think about things that I need to buy. That's that section. We also have this section, which is a bit redundant since I've created sort of the time blocking calendar on my Google Calendar, but I've just kept it here partly because there's not much that I've thought of putting to replace it yet, but eventually I might replace it with something. And a lot of this has been used to integrate into my time blocking calendar, but it's not exactly the same. Then we have a little widget down here of Isabel. I added this in my first iteration of my personal home dashboard. It can play Animal Crossing music as well as some rain sounds if you want it. I don't really use it for that. It's more just like a fun little movement area to break up this page that also has the time and date on it. Then we have an embed of my Notion calendar. This is the reason that I use the web version of Notion, not the app version of Notion, because unfortunately with the app version of Notion, if you open it up, when you embed Notion calendar and try to use the Notion app, as you can see, it unfortunately just doesn't work. It doesn't embed properly, and I have no idea why. It hasn't been fixed, so I'm just sort of stuck with the web version until then because I don't want multiple things open at once. I do have the Notion calendar open on my laptop and have it minimized up into the top bar of a Mac. However, I do also like to see it here whenever I'm on this page or my work home page so I can quickly look at sort of the overall week that's coming up. And so I do just want to keep it on this page. So I will be using the web version until, if that ever gets fixed, then I will change over to the app version. We then scroll down, we have my to-do list. This is very different to how it was in my original home dashboard. I've recently updated this. And so how I wanted it to work is that I wanted features where I could choose a day that I wanted to do a task, but I also had just general tasks I wanted to get done sometime. And so you can see here I have this sometime area, and all this is all three of these views are the exact same database. It's just they're showing different things. All I do to make something a sometime task is just not add a date. So if you open the wardrobe declutter, you'll see the due date is empty. So these are just things to remind me that I need to do them, both for personal and for YouTube. They're the two categories I have. The only reason I don't have work here is because we have a work Notion. So I have my to-do tasks for my work just on that separate Notion. It was just cleaner for me. Then we have my general to-do list. This has two views. This has a today view as well as a this week view. I mostly just sit on the today view so I don't get overstimulated seeing all the things that I need to do. I put it every day and see what I've put for myself. If I'm wanting to add something or see something's coming up, that's when I'll use this week view. I've also made a few little formula. So I wanted to have the ability to time block my tasks, especially if I'm trying to get specific YouTube things done. I can add a time and it will change the times. Even if you don't have the include time ticked, it will automatically show 12 a.m. because that's just sort of how the formula reads the date property. But if I change it to another time, say 2 p.m., it will then show it. So I have my formula showing in the time format that I want, and then it sorts by the due date as well as by the category. So things are together. If I'm having a really busy day where I've really time blocked that I want to do this thing now and this thing now and this thing now, it will show them all in a list that makes it really simple for me to see. The other thing I wanted to do was for tasks that are for today, when they are done, I did not want them to disappear from this view. I wanted them to stay in this view. But if I just click done, prior to me adding this formula, it was just really hard for me to see at a glance what I still needed to do because my eye wasn't being dragged over here, my eye was being dragged over here. So I decided to make this formula that included the time in case I time blocked, but even if I didn't time block, so that when I press done, it will strike through. And if I have a big list of tasks I need to do today, I can quickly look and see which ones aren't complete yet. The last little view is overdue. So any task that should have been completed before today will show up here. So you can see that I was supposed to film this video and my next video on Tuesday. And so from Wednesday onwards, they moved down into this section. Now this section I don't want to see once things are done, obviously. So I actually filmed next week's video before this one. And so I can click done. And when I click done, it disappears and I no longer have to think about it. Most things for daily tasks, they're not very often in progress, or they're not long enough that I bother marking them as in progress. Like even now, I don't particularly need to mark this as in progress. I'm currently doing it and it'll be done once I finish this video. It's most helpful for the sometime area. These are things that take a bit longer, aren't sort of a simple quick task to do. And so that's why I created the in progress status rather than just having done and not started. And I do have a few different templates. So I have recurring templates set up. So for Korean homework, my updating budget page, this shows up automatically for me every Thursday. I don't have to think about it, as well as my washing, my changing my sheets, and the monthly audit for my content. They all show up automatically for me at the time intervals that I want them to, and I don't have to think about them. Next, if we scroll down, we lastly have my meal planning area. I haven't been using this much at the moment. I mostly just use the shopping list, but if you would like to see how this area works, I did a video on it last month, I believe it was, that goes through this area that also has a free template linked in the description. So if you want to have a look at how this works and get the template for yourself, just head over to that video. That's my life planning page. As you can see, it's pretty simple, but that's partly because I've segregated things a bit. So I also do a fair bit of planning in my content home as well as my work home, obviously. So my content home has all of my content planning. So that just helps keep my home dashboard very simple. I may add things to it in the future. I've previously, when I was doing the 75 soft, I had it below my meal planning at the bottom here, so it was easy to access and things like that. So next, let's go on to look at my work home. I don't know how much of this I'm going to blur because that's going to be a future thing, but I'll talk quickly about what I do here. So it's very similar to my personal home dashboard, just specifically for work things. So again, I have a navigation common pages that I use. I built this for my company, so we are still sort of working on it. There's all this sort of business operation stuff is things that I've added recently and that we're adding to and working on and seeing how they work and what we need to improve. But all of this top sort of stuff in the HQ area has existed for a while and we've been using. But these are the pages that I use the most that aren't things that I have views of on my homepage. So my homepage has a lot of these databases that are in these pages in views of ways that I need to see them that we'll have a look at. Again, I have the Notion calendar. This is the exact same one that you saw on my personal homepage, just a bit bigger. And then we have some fun stuff and some quick buttons that I really don't use. But again, I put them there when I originally made this and I don't have anything else I want to put there at the moment. So they're just sitting there, but I don't use them. Then we have this area, which is my personal tasks for work. They're work tasks, but they're things specific to my things that I need to do rather than things that are part of projects. So it is similar to the personal to-do list because I did base the personal to-do list off this one because I created this one first, but it is slightly different. So for this one, the tasks are sometimes longer tasks, similar to the sometime area where they're things that I'm doing sort of over a few days, over a week, or they're things that I need to contact other people for. Therefore, I'm doing them for a while because I'm waiting for responses or waiting for other people to action the thing that I've asked them to. Because of that, I've put it into more of a Kanban board view and I can just drag things to different statuses. And when they're done, I can drag it to done and it'll disappear. I also have due this week, and that shows just every task I have that the due date is this week. Another thing that's slightly different is that I have a due date and a due date. For work, I found that it is something that I do want to split up because it's a task that will take a bit of time and I need it to be done by a certain time, but I want to keep seeing it and I can't just do it on the day that it's due. We then also have the overdue area, which is the same as my other overdue area where when the due date is past today, they'll show up here. And then incoming is similar to my sometime area. There aren't tasks really that are sometime tasks for work. It's basically just, this could be an area where I throw new tasks that I haven't thought about the due and due dates for. I can throw them in here and then when I get some time, I can then assign them to times that I need to get them done, just so I don't forget that it's actually there. I then have a interesting formula here, which probably isn't the most efficient, but it's what I've done. And this is just a gallery view database that I've created. And then what you do is the layout, you go to showing no card preview and it'll just give you sort of the white box area. And then you can add formulas in to display things however you want. So the first thing I do is just have the date of today. And then the next thing is I count how many projects that I manage. I have to do this by having a relation here that relates to my projects as well as my work to-dos. The work projects one is not automatic. So whenever I start or stop a project, I do need to add the project to it. However, the work to do one is automatic. Just based on the template that I have, it will automatically add in a relation to the daily summary, which is this thing. It will tell me how many projects I'm managing. It'll also tell me based on my personal to-do tasks, how many tasks I have due today, and then also just how many tasks I have to do today versus due today. Those two will calculate based off that. And then there's also if I have any overdue tasks. So if we go to the task from yesterday and say change it to doing, it will still show up in this Kanban board and it will show up in the overdue area, as you can see. And then also in the daily summary, it will turn red and tell me that I have tasks overdue, so that it just sort of brings my eye to that and can remind me that there's things that I did want to get done that I haven't gotten done yet. And so once I finish that overdue task, I can click done and you'll see it's gone back to the done status and it's gone back to having no overdue tasks. Underneath, I then have a Pomodoro timer and as you can see, more pretty things. The main area is these are views of other general databases within the entire team space that I have filtered to what I need to see. So I have here my projects, which is filtered to see just things that are marked as me being the project manager and seeing important things like the current status that we're in, the dates of the project, as well as the percentage complete based on how many project tasks are complete versus incomplete. Underneath that, we then have the pending tasks. So to see every single task in projects that I manage that is not complete, I can see here who is assigned to do the task, what the task is, what the due date is, which these are formulas based on the due date, as well as the progress. And so I then have them grouped by each project. Say this project, I don't have any tasks that I've added into it yet because it's a project for the future. So I haven't started planning it yet. So it doesn't exist in the project tasks. However, there are projects that exist here that I'm not project managing, but that's because I have tasks to do in it. So it'll either show tasks where I am the project manager or tasks where I am the person involved or allocated to the task. My last area is just a personal notes section. We do have a meeting notes section in this overall team space. However, this was more, I wanted an area specific to just things I needed to do. I made this basically just for this note for the Notion eventual to-dos, but I can use it more eventually if I have notes that I want to write or just general things. And similar to if you've watched my content planning template, it has the same sorting system of being unsorted versus all. This one will probably never be sorted until it's completed, just because I always want it sort of front and center. But if I ever make other notes about other things and I don't want them front and center anymore, I can click this button to sort it and it will disappear from this view, so I don't see it all the time, but I'll still have it in case I need to see it again. And that's all I have on my work homepage. Thought I'd lastly just talk about sort of my different calendars. So I have my Notion calendar, which we have seen embedded, and I just wanted to talk about what I do show in this Notion calendar. So my Notion calendar is linked to my work email as well as my personal email, and then it's linked to show the databases I want to see both from my work Notion page and my home Notion page. It means I can see everything all in one place, including my tasks and my events. So I can see meetings that I have scheduled on my work calendar. I can have things that I have scheduled personally, so like going to the osteo, as well as all my tasks. So, and I have them, you can also color code them. You can choose what color you want each thing to be. Yeah, so that's how it looks on the Notion calendar when it's full. But as I said, I don't open this page. I use the embed on my Notion pages. Also in the top bar on my laptop, sometimes I'll click on that to see what's coming up, but mostly it's just using the embed on my Notion pages. This is my Google Calendar for my personal one. I don't open this really at all. What I've done is on iPhones, you can link in the like Apple Calendar, other calendar programs. So I've linked my Google account to it. And so I can add events like osteo for today. All I've ever really used the actual Google Calendar page for this account for was when I was creating the time blocking. And so you can see I have sort of the days that I go to office, they're slightly different obviously than the days that I don't, and I just sort of used this time blocking as a way to make sure that I'm doing the amount of hours I need to do for work, but also dedicate time to my YouTube. And so I wanted to ensure that I sort of knew approximate times I was going to do things. Like, I'm not demanding that I have to be accurate to this time blocking, because for one thing, it's not really possible with my work, because as you can see at the moment, I should be doing a work block. But the thing is, I'm going into work tonight at 5 p.m. All of this is technically my work block for the day. So obviously I don't need to do the work block now. And I was meant to film on Tuesday, even decided was going to follow the time blocking, but then I had a sore back and couldn't sit up, so I just couldn't do it. So I'm not strict on myself on following this. This is more just like general ideal of what I would like to do. It also helps me plan for more so the morning. I found that I stick to it more. So planning what time I need to get up and how long I have before I have to go to the gym. So on days when I go to work, I need to get up earlier in the day, go to the gym a lot earlier in the day so that I can get ready for work and do the commute and get to work on time, which means the night before, my wind down and my reading and relaxing has to be earlier so I can sort of try and get 8 hours of sleep, things like that. So it's just sort of a basic guide for me. It would be nice to follow it a bit more, but as I'm getting into sort of the busier period of the year for work, it is unfortunately it's probably going to get even worse than it already is. I just use it as a guide and try not to be too harsh on myself, and it's just something for me to fall back on, and so I don't just sit around doing nothing because I don't think I have anything to be doing. Lastly, this is my work Google Calendar. This is probably going to be all blurred out, quite honestly, looking at it now. This is probably, I do use this a lot despite having it linked to my Notion calendar, just because it has extra information in it, and if I need to invite people to meetings or I need to join meetings, I open this up, or I need to see what's coming up in the future, it's easier to go onto the Google Calendar because it's in this monthly, I have it set up in this monthly view versus the Notion calendar embed that's in a weekly view. It gives me a better overall look at things that are coming up and planning and everything. When I'm emailing clients or deciding on having meetings with other people in the team, I will open the Google Calendar rather than using the Notion calendar to see availabilities and set up things like that. So that is how I plan my life. There's not much more to it than that. Like I said, for the past year, I've been working on getting better at keeping my life organized and planned so that I don't laze around and do nothing all day, but I'm still working on it, I would say. I don't think it's perfect yet. And as my role changes at work, things obviously have to change a lot more. And obviously things had to change when I decided to start doing this YouTube channel, because I then had to integrate that into my weekly routine. So I think over the next year, it'll keep changing and adapting to what I need it to be. But this is what it is for now. And it's simple but effective. And hopefully you got some ideas of things that you can do to help plan your life and make it a little easier for yourself. If you like videos talking about generally what I'm doing more in my life, you can have a look at this video here, which is my video talking about how I failed doing 75 soft, and I will be making some more videos in the future about various things about my life. So if you would like to keep updated with them, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. Stay tuned next week for my comprehensive book tracking Notion template video if you would like to see that, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.